You were not born to be liked. You were born to be necessary. There is a difference between the two that most people will never understand, and that ignorance will cost them their entire lives. They will spend 70, 80, 90 years on this earth chasing applause from people who don't even know their own names. They will build monuments to the opinions of strangers. They will sacrifice their dreams on the altar of approval. And when it's all over, when the curtain closes and the lights go out, they will realize they never lived at all. They performed, they auditioned, but they never lived. Let me tell you something that will set you free if you let it. The moment you were conceived, you became an answer to a problem that existed before you got here. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are not random. You are a solution wrapped in skin. You came into this world carrying something that only you can deliver. But if you spend your life trying to impress people, you will die with that gift still inside you. And the world will never know what it lost. I want to talk to someone today who is tired of pretending, tired of performing, tired of wearing masks that don't even fit anymore. You have been living your life like you're on a stage and everybody in the audience is a critic. You dress for them. You speak for them. You make decisions based on what they will think, what they will say, what they will post on social media. You have given people who don't pay your bills the power to write your script. And I'm here to tell you that your life is too valuable, too short, too important to be wasted on people who won't even remember your name in 5 years. Here's what you need to understand. People are not your problem. Their opinions are not your prison. The real problem is that you have forgotten who you are. You have confused your identity with your image. You have traded your purpose for popularity. You have been so busy trying to fit in that you forgot you were designed to stand out. And now you're stuck. Stuck in jobs you hate because they look good on paper. Stuck in relationships that drain you because you're afraid of being alone. Stuck in a life that feels like a cage because you built it with borrowed dreams and rented ambitions. Let me tell you what happened to you. Somewhere along the way, you started believing that other people's approval was the measure of your worth. You started thinking that if they clapped for you, you mattered. If they didn't, you didn't. So you became a slave to their expectations. You learned to shrink yourself so they wouldn't feel threatened. You learned to dim your light so they wouldn't feel uncomfortable. You learned to apologize for your gifts because they made other people insecure. And in the process of trying to make everyone else comfortable, you made yourself invisible. But I want to remind you of something you've forgotten. You were not created by committee. You were not designed by a focus group. You were not manufactured to meet the specifications of someone else's imagination. There is a creator who made you exactly the way you are for a specific reason. And until you discover that reason, until you step into that purpose, you will always feel like something is missing, because something is, you are missing you. Let me give you an illustration. When a manufacturer creates a product, they don't ask the product what it wants to be. The product doesn't get to vote on its purpose. A hammer doesn't decide it wants to be a screwdriver, because screwdrivers get more attention. A fork doesn't look at a spoon and say, I wish I was shaped like that. Each tool is designed for a specific function, and its value is not determined by how many people like it. Its value is determined by how well it fulfills its purpose. You are the same way. You have a purpose, a function, a reason for being here, and that purpose is not negotiable. It's not up for debate. It's not subject to popular vote. The enemy of your destiny is not the people who criticize you. It's not the people who reject you. It's not even the people who try to stop you. The enemy of your destiny is your need for their approval. Because as long as you need them to validate you, you will never have the courage to become you. You will spend your whole life editing yourself, censoring yourself, shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never designed for you in the first place. I've learned something about life that changed everything for me. The people who criticize you the most are usually the people who are doing the least. The people who have the most opinions about your life are usually the people who have done the least with their own. They are spectators, not players. They are critics, not creators. And you have been taking advice from people who have never been where you're trying to go. You have been letting people who are lost give you directions. You have been letting people who are broke tell you how to build wealth. You have been letting people who are miserable tell you how to find joy. Stop it. Just stop it. Stop giving people access to your future who haven't done anything with their present. Stop letting people who don't have a vision speak into your vision. Stop allowing people who have never built anything tear down what you're trying to build. Your life is too precious. Your time is too limited. Your purpose is too important to be wasted on people who don't even believe in themselves. Here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. Most people are not happy for you. They're happy near you. They want you close enough to keep them entertained, but not so far ahead that it makes them uncomfortable. They want you to succeed just enough to make them feel good about knowing you, but not so much that it reminds them of what they haven't done. So they will celebrate your small steps and criticize your big leap. They will cheer when you're struggling and go silent when you're soaring. And if you're waiting for their permission to be great, you will wait forever. Let me tell you about lions. A lion doesn't lose sleep over the opinion of sheep. It doesn't apologize for being a predator. It doesn't try to be gentle and cuddly so the gazelles will like it. It doesn't dim its roar because it might intimidate the other animals. A lion is a lion. It operates in its nature. It walks in its purpose, and it doesn't need permission from anyone to be what it was created to be. You are the same way. You have a roar inside you. You have gifts that are supposed to make noise. You have a presence that is supposed to command attention. But you have been whispering when you should be roaring because you're afraid of what people will think. I want to ask you a question, and I want you to be honest with yourself. When was the last time you made a decision based on what you wanted, not on what someone else expected? When was the last time you said yes to your dream and no to their comfort? When was the last time you did something that scared you, not because it was dangerous, but because it was different? If you can't answer that question, then you're not living. You're existing. And there's a massive difference. Existing is waking up every day and going through the motions. Living is waking up every day and going after the mission. Existing is playing it safe so you don't rock the boat. Living is building your own boat and sailing into waters that other people are too afraid to explore. Existing is letting life happen to you. Living is making life happen for you. You see, the problem with trying to impress people is that it's a game you can never win because people are unpredictable. What impresses them today will bore them tomorrow. What they celebrate this year, they will criticize next year. They are fickle. They are unstable. They change their minds like they change their clothes. So if you build your life on their approval, your life will always be shaky. It will always be uncertain. It will always be dependent on the mood of people who don't even know what they want themselves. But when you build your life on purpose, when you build your life on principle, when you build your life on the foundation of who you were created to be, it doesn't matter what people think. It doesn't matter if they applaud or if they criticize. It doesn't matter if they're in the front row cheering or in the back row whispering, because you're not performing for them. You're fulfilling a mandate that was given to you before they even knew your name. Let me give you another picture. A seed doesn't ask the soil if it's okay to grow. It doesn't take a survey of the other seeds to see if they approve of its growth. It doesn't wait for permission from the rain or the Sunday. When the conditions are right, it breaks through the ground. It pushes past the dirt. It reaches toward the light. And it becomes what it was always meant to be. Not because anyone told it to, not because anyone encouraged it, but because growth is in its nature. Purpose is in its DNA. You are that seed. You have been buried under layers of expectation, tradition, fear, and the opinions of people who don't matter. But there is something in you that is ready to break through. There is something in you that is tired of being hidden. There is something in you that is ready to reach for the light. But you have to make a decision. You have to decide that your purpose is more important than their approval. You have to decide that your destiny is more valuable than their comfort. You have to decide that you would rather die living your truth than live pretending to be something you're not. I know some of you are thinking, but I need people. I can't do this alone. I need support. I need encouragement. I need validation. And you're right. You do need people. But you need the right people. You need people who see your vision and help you build it, not people who see your vision and try to shrink it. You need people who challenge you to grow, not people who pressure you to stay small. You need people who celebrate your authenticity, not people who reward your conformity. Here's how you know if someone belongs in your life. Ask yourself this question: does this person make me more like myself or less like myself? When I'm around them, do I feel free to be authentic, or do I feel pressure to perform? Do they bring out the best in me, or do they bring out the version of me that I think they want to see? If being around someone requires you to be someone you're not, they don't belong in your inner circle. They can be in your life, but they can't be in your counsel. They can be acquaintances, but they can't be advisors. Let me tell you something that might hurt your feelings, but it will help your future. Some people are in your life for a reason, some for a season, and some for a lifetime. And most of the people you're trying to impress right now are not lifetime people. They are seasonal people. They were there for a chapter, not for the whole book. And you have been trying to force seasonal people into permanent positions. And it's costing you your peace, your progress, and your purpose. You need to learn how to let people go, not with bitterness, not with anger, but with gratitude for what they contributed and clarity about where they belong. Some people are scaffolding. They help you build, but they're not supposed to stay once the building is complete. Some people are training wheels. They help you learn balance, but you have to remove them if you want to ride at full speed. And some people are lessons. They teach you what you don't want, who you don't want to be, and where you don't want to go. Be grateful for the lesson, but don't marry the teacher. Here's what I want you to understand. When you stop trying to impress people, you will lose some of them. That's not a threat. That's a promise. When you start being yourself, some people will not like it. When you start walking in your purpose, some people will not support it. When you start saying no to things that don't align with your vision, some people will call you selfish. Let them be uncomfortable. Let them be confused. Let them be offended. Because the people who are supposed to be with you will celebrate the real you. They will love the authentic you. They will support the purposed you. And the people who can't handle that were never your people in the first place. I've seen too many people waste decades trying to keep people who were already gone. I've seen too many people sacrifice their dreams to maintain relationships that were already dead. I've seen too many people dim their light to make other people comfortable, and all it did was leave both of them in the dark. You can't save people who don't want to be saved. You can't force people to see your value. You can't convince people to appreciate your gift, and you will kill yourself trying. So let me give you permission to do something you've been too afraid to do. Let them go. Let the critics go. Let the doubters go. Let the people who make you feel small go. Let the relationships that require you to be less than who you are go. Stop fighting for seats at tables where you're supposed to build your own table. Stop begging for opportunities in rooms where you're supposed to build your own room. Stop trying to fit into a box when you were designed to be a builder of boxes. There is a life waiting for you on the other side of people pleasing. There is a version of you that is confident, free, powerful, and fully alive. But you will never meet that version of yourself as long as you're addicted to the approval of others. You will never discover your true potential as long as you're living in someone else's shadow. You will never step into your greatness as long as you're afraid of stepping out of their comfort zone. Let me tell you what happens when you finally break free. When you finally decide that your purpose is more important than their opinion, something shifts. The universe conspires in your favor. Doors that were closed start to open. Opportunities that were hidden start to appear. People who were meant to help you start to show up. And you realize that all this time, the thing that was holding you back wasn't a lack of talent or a lack of opportunity. It was your addiction to approval. It was your fear of rejection. It was your need to be liked by people who didn't even like themselves. I want you to imagine something with me for a moment. Imagine you're at the end of your life, looking back. You're surrounded by the people you spent your whole life trying to impress, and you realize that most of them aren't even there. They moved on. They forgot about you. They were never as invested in you as you were in their opinion of you. And now, at the end, you're left with regret. Regret for the dreams you didn't chase. Regret for the risks you didn't take. Regret for the person you never became because you were too busy trying to be the person they wanted you to be. That's a tragedy. And it's happening every single day to people who think they have more time than they do. But imagine something else. Imagine you at the end of your life and you're surrounded by the evidence of your purpose. The lives you touched, the problems you solved, the legacy you built, the impact you made. And you realize that the best decision you ever made was to stop living for their applause and start living for your assignment. That's not a tragedy. That's a triumph. That's a life well lived. That's what it means to fulfill your purpose. So here's my challenge to you. Starting today, make a decision. Decide that you will no longer waste your energy trying to impress people who don't even know their own purpose. Decide that you will no longer edit yourself to fit into spaces that were never designed for you. Decide that you will no longer shrink your dreams to match their limited imagination. Decide that you will live the rest of your life as the fullest, truest, most authentic version of yourself, regardless of who claps and who criticizes. Some of you need to quit jobs that look good but feel dead. Some of you need to end relationships that look right but feel wrong. Some of you need to move to cities that scare you, start businesses that intimidate you, and pursue dreams that sound crazy to everyone but you. And yes, people will talk, let them. Yes, people will judge, let them. Yes, people will doubt, let them. Because while they're talking, you'll be walking. While they're judging, you'll be building. While they're doubting, you'll be doing. The truth is, you don't need everyone to believe in you. You just need you to believe in you. You don't need a crowd to validate your vision. You just need the courage to pursue it. You don't need permission from people who are standing still to start moving forward. You just need to take the first step and trust that the path will reveal itself as you walk. I want to leave you with this. Your life is a gift, not to you, from you. You were given this life so you could give something to the world that only you can give. And every day that you spend trying to impress people is a day that the world doesn't get what you came to deliver. Every day that you spend performing is a day that your purpose stays dormant. Every day that you spend living someone else's dream is a day that your dream dies a little more. You were not born to be a copy. You were born to be an original. You were not born to be a shadow. You were born to be a light. You were not born to blend in. You were born to stand out. So stop apologizing for being different. Stop hiding your gifts because they make other people uncomfortable. Stop playing small because it makes other people feel big. The world doesn't need another version of them. The world needs the first and only version of you. Don't waste your life trying to impress others. Impress yourself. Amaze yourself. Challenge yourself. Become the person you were created to be, and watch how your life transforms. Watch how the right people show up. Watch how the right opportunities appear. Watch how everything that was meant for you starts to find you because you finally became you. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your life. Don't let it slip through your fingers while you're chasing the approval of people who won't even be at your funeral. Live bold. Live free. Live on purpose. And let your life be the message that inspires someone else to do the same. You were born for this. Now go be it. But let me tell you what's going to happen when you make this shift. When you finally decide to stop performing and start living, you're going to feel fear. Real, raw, overwhelming fear. Because living authentically is terrifying to someone who has spent their whole life hiding. And that fear is going to whisper lies to you. It's going to tell you that you're making a mistake. It's going to tell you to go back to playing it safe. Don't listen to that voice. That's the voice of your comfort zone. And your comfort zone is a liar. It has convinced you that staying small is staying safe. But your comfort zone is not a place of safety. It's a place of slow death. It's where dreams go to die quietly, where potential goes to waste slowly, where purpose goes to sleep permanently. I need you to understand something about fear. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is your indicator. It shows up when you're about to do something that matters. It shows up when you're about to step into something significant. It shows up when you're about to leave the familiar and enter the extraordinary. So when you feel fear, don't run from it. Don't try to eliminate it. Ask it a question. Ask fear, am I afraid because this is dangerous? Or am I afraid because this is different? Because there's a massive difference. Dangerous fear protects you. Different fear paralyzes you. One keeps you alive, the other keeps you average. Most of the fear you feel is not about danger. It's about difference. It's about change. It's about growth. And you have been avoiding growth because you confuse it with danger. You have been staying in situations that are killing you slowly because leaving them felt scary. You have been tolerating relationships that drain you because being alone felt frightening. You have been working jobs that suffocate your soul because starting over felt risky. But let me ask you this. What's more dangerous? Taking a risk that might not work out, or living a life that definitely doesn't? What's scarier? Trying and failing, or never trying and wondering what if for the rest of your life? Here's what I've learned. Regret weighs more than risk. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. You can recover from failure. You can learn from mistakes. You can bounce back from rejection, but you can never recover the time you wasted being someone you're not. You can never get back the years you spent living someone else's dream. You can never reclaim the opportunities you missed because you were too afraid of what people would say. Let me tell you about two types of people in this world. There are thermometers and there are thermostats. A thermometer reflects the temperature of the room. It adapts to its environment. It changes based on what's around it. It has no power to influence, only to reflect. Most people are thermometers. They look around and ask, what is everyone else doing? They adapt. They conform. They blend in. They become whatever the room needs them to be. They have no conviction of their own, no vision of their own, no voice of their own. But a thermostat is different. A thermostat sets the temperature of the room. It doesn't ask what the environment is doing. It determines what the environment will become. It doesn't adapt to the atmosphere. It creates the atmosphere. And that's what you were designed to be. Not a thermometer, a thermostat. Not a reflector, a creator. Not someone who adapts to culture. Someone who shapes culture. Not someone who follows trends. Someone who sets trends. Not someone who asks for permission. Someone who gives permission by the way they live. You see, the world doesn't need more followers. We have enough people who are waiting to see what everyone else does before they move. We have enough people who are afraid to speak until they know their opinion is popular. We have enough people who are willing to go along to get along. What the world needs is leaders, not leaders with titles, leaders with courage, not leaders with positions, leaders with conviction, not leaders who manage people, leaders who inspire people by the authenticity of their lives. And let me tell you what real leadership looks like. Real leadership is not about having all the answers. It's about having the courage to ask the right questions. Real leadership is not about being perfect. It's about being authentic. Real leadership is not about making everyone comfortable. It's about making everyone better. And sometimes making people better means making them uncomfortable. Sometimes growth requires disruption. Sometimes transformation requires confrontation. Sometimes love means telling people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. I want to address something that stops so many people from living authentically: guilt. You feel guilty for outgrowing people. You feel guilty for wanting more. You feel guilty for changing. You feel guilty for setting boundaries. You feel guilty for saying no. You feel guilty for prioritizing yourself. And that guilt has become a prison. It has kept you locked in relationships that no longer serve you. It has kept you locked in mindsets that no longer fit you. It has kept you locked in a version of yourself that you've already outgrown. Let me free you from something right now. You are allowed to outgrow people. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to want different things than you wanted 5 years ago. You are allowed to set boundaries with people you love. You are allowed to say no without explanation. You are allowed to put yourself first without apology. You are allowed to be different from who you used to be. Growth is not betrayal. Change is not disloyalty. Evolution is not abandonment. It's maturity. It's progress. It's becoming. And if people are offended by your growth, that tells you more about them than it does about you. If people are threatened by your change, that reveals their insecurity, not your arrogance. If people try to make you feel guilty for becoming who you were meant to be, that exposes their fear, that your transformation will highlight their stagnation. Don't shrink to make them comfortable. Don't apologize for blooming. Don't dim your light because they're still sitting in darkness. Here's something else you need to hear. Your breakthrough is going to look like a breakdown to people who don't understand your journey. Your discipline is going to look like obsession to people who don't have goals. Your focus is going to look like isolation to people who don't have vision. Your boundaries are going to look like rejection to people who are used to unlimited access. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with being misunderstood by people who aren't meant to understand. You have to be okay with being misinterpreted by people who don't have the context of your calling. Let me tell you what happens when you commit to purpose over popularity. You become lonely before you become legendary. You become isolated before you become influential. You become misunderstood before you become a mentor. And that lonely season is where most people quit. They can't handle the silence. They can't handle the solitude. They can't handle being the only one who believes in what they're building. So they go back to the crowd that doesn't challenge them, back to the relationships that don't require them to grow, back to the comfort of being average with people who celebrate mediocrity. But if you can push through that season, if you can endure that loneliness, something incredible happens. You discover that you are stronger than you thought. You realize that you don't need as many people as you thought you needed. You find out that your purpose is bigger than your fear of isolation. And on the other side of that season, you find your tribe. Not the people who clap because it's polite. The people who celebrate because they believe. Not the people who show up when it's convenient. The people who show up when it's costly. Not the people who are there for the highlight reel. The people who are there for the behind-the-scenes struggle. I want to talk to someone who's been carrying a dream for years but hasn't done anything about it because you're afraid of what people will think. You're afraid they'll laugh at you. You're afraid they'll say you're not qualified. You're afraid they'll call you crazy. Let me tell you something. They're going to say all of that anyway. Whether you try or not, people are going to have opinions. Whether you succeed or not, people are going to talk. So if they're going to talk anyway, you might as well give them something worth talking about. You might as well go after the dream. You might as well take the risk. You might as well try. Because here's what happens when you don't. That dream doesn't just go away. It haunts you. It shows up in the middle of the night. It whispers to you when you're alone. It reminds you of what could have been. And 20 years from now, you're going to look back and realize that the opinion of people who don't even remember you stopped you from becoming who you were meant to be. You're going to realize that you gave people who weren't paying your bills the power to determine your destiny. And that realization will hurt more than any failure ever could. So take the step, write the book, start the business, make the move, have the conversation, end the relationship, begin the healing, take the class, make the investment, do the thing that scares you, do the thing that requires faith. Do the thing that doesn't make sense to anyone but you. Because that thing, that crazy idea, that impossible dream, that's not random. That's your assignment. That's your purpose knocking on the door of your comfort zone, asking you to let it in. And let me tell you what's on the other side of obedience to your purpose. Peace. Not the absence of problems, but the presence of alignment. Not the absence of challenges, but the presence of clarity. You will finally feel like you're where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to do, becoming who you're supposed to become. And that feeling, that sense of alignment, is worth more than all the applause of all the people who never understood you in the first place. Your life is not a rehearsal. This is not a practice run. You don't get to come back and do it again. This is it. This is your one shot, your one chance, your one opportunity to make your mark, to leave your legacy, to fulfill your purpose. And you can either spend it trying to impress people who won't matter in 10 years, or you can spend it becoming the person you were created to be. The choice is yours, but choose quickly. Because time doesn't wait for you to get comfortable. Time doesn't pause while you figure out what people think. Time doesn't stop while you build up your courage. Time keeps moving, and every day that you spend living for others is a day that you lose of living for yourself. Stop wasting your life. Stop giving your power away. Stop waiting for permission that's never going to come. You have everything you need right now to begin. You don't need more time. You don't need more money. You don't need more education. You don't need more connections. You need more courage. You need more faith. You need more belief in who you are and what you carry. So here's my final word to you. Wake up. Wake up from the dream that other people's approval will make you happy. Wake up from the illusion that fitting in will make you fulfilled. Wake up from the lie that playing it safe will bring you peace. It won't. It never has. It never will. The only thing that will satisfy your soul is living your truth, walking in your purpose, and becoming the fullest expression of who you were created to be. And when you do that, when you finally step into that reality, you won't need their applause. You won't crave their validation. You won't search for their approval, because you'll have something better. You'll have yourself, the real you, the authentic you, the you that was buried under years of pretending. And that version of you is the greatest gift you could ever give to this world. Now stop reading and start being. Your purpose is waiting, your destiny is calling, and the world needs what only you can give. Don't make them wait any longer.